Paris Fashion Week just wrapped, and to be honest, it was a mix of pure magic and total chaos. Some designers gave us moments that reminded everyone why Paris still owns the fashion game, the effortless mix of artistry and attitude, while others, well, let's just say not every risk paid off. I've gone through all the shows, the viral runway moments to give you the full rundown. Who nailed it, who missed the mark, and what trends dominated the runways. And before we jump in, hey, my name is Anna. I hope you're doing well. And every Saturday, I post a new video on fashion history, trends, and so much more. So don't forget to subscribe for weekly fashion content. I've got a new video on fall trends, a deep dive into Anna Wintour, and my favorite, the rise and rise of Loewe. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok. And now let's get started. Let's start with Duran Lanting Jean Paul Gaultier debut. The guy clearly isn't afraid to shake things up, and I mean really shake things up. His first collection for the house, called Junior, is a nod to the cult Junior Gaultier line from the late 80s and early 90s. That chaotic club kid, youthful energy that first got him hooked on Gaultier. You could feel that rebellious spirit all over the show. So for spring-summer 2026, Lanting tried to capture what Jean Paul Gaultier means today: fun, modern, loud, and alive. Everything went through his trademark Duranification, if you can say it that way. The pieces were twisted, reworked, reimagined, and sometimes scrapped entirely. It's an experimental process that thrives on distortion and surprise, just like Gaultier himself would have done. We can see some classic Gaultier sailor stripes warped into optical illusions, exaggerated silhouettes, tattoo mesh turned 3D, and that unmistakable Jean Paul Gaultier color palette: burgundy, mustard yellow, sky blue, gray. They're all drenched in glittering jewelry. It was equal parts homage and chaos. The references actually ran deep. Lanting drew inspiration from a book chronicling Amsterdam's wild club scene. It's all very sweaty, anarchic, hedonistic, effortlessly stylish. Gaultier himself used to hang out there, so that was definitely an inspiration for Lanting. And he also mentioned John Giorno's poetry as a mental soundtrack while working, a mix of meditation and madness. Yeah, but here's the thing. As much as I love the story and the creative freedom, the actual clothes were quite rough. Like, really rough. Nothing felt ready to wear unless you happened to be naked or just grabbed random pieces off the street. It looked like someone had hit, like, you know, like when you play The Sims and you hit the random outfit generator a few too many times. I feel like this runway was very similar to that. And those bodysuits, they looked so cheap. They look like $499 Temu fines, tariffs included, of course. Even people who don't care about fashion were like, oh my god, that's ready to wear. And I saw some comments that were not really pleasant about the show. And yeah, like when I did the research for this video, I definitely saw the inspiration again, like on the Amsterdam's wild club scene and all of that. But at the same time, what should have been bold and avant-garde ended up looking more like Halloween costume rack. So yeah, the energy was there. The references were also fun. The chaos was intentional. But like, if we're talking about wearable fashion, this one just didn't land. Next up, we have Maison Margiela, and I love Margiela. It's one of my favorite brands. This was Glenn Martin's first ready-to-wear collection from Maison Margiela, and wow, it was a lot. By the way, I didn't realize John Galliano had left the brand, which is a big loss for Margiela, but Martins stepped in with full force. Models walked out with metal 4-stitch logos in their mouth, so that was like a nod to Margiela's iconic stitching. I remember not to brag, but I had an iPhone case, Margiela iPhone case, and it had those like stitchings. So these metallic things, they were clearly a nod to that. along with metallic sneakers and floral prints clashing with sequins. So yeah, it was a lot. This was Matin's official ready-to-wear debut after his big couture moment earlier this year, and that couture collection, oh my god, it was amazing. You could feel echoes of that earlier show, the same eerie romantic vibe, but I feel like it was toned down and slightly more wearable, at least by Margiela standards. That said, I feel like it wasn't quite the same, and of course, like, this is ready to wear and that was haute couture, so it's not the same. The show opened with gothic black leather coats and double-breasted vests worn against the skin. So it was very like bare, and that contrast between the skin and the leather and everything, it was really, really cool. And then it softened with painted florals, lace, and ghostly translucent knits. Some moments were genuinely haunting, like a sheer gown layered over a structured blazer, or that red plaster-like bodice paired with delicate blue flowers. The signature Margiela deconstruction was everywhere, and that's the DNA of the brand, so I was really glad to see that. Peeling wallpaper prints, raw canvas panels, uneven draping. Some looks had a monastic 19th century vibe, while others were surprisingly modern with plastic finishes or light wash denim. Sneakers replaced heels, silver high tops tucked into baggy trousers, black bondage sneakers paired with pinstripe blazers, reminding you that Martins wants Margiela to stay grounded in the real world, not just fantasy, not like haute couture. Now, about the mouthpieces, those metal logos holding the model's mouth open, they were hard to miss, and honestly, as much as I love creativity and I love the idea, they were pretty distracting. They were meant as a statement about silence and identity, but for most people, they just looked uncomfortable, and you looked at the model and you were like, oh my goodness, are you okay? Like, does it, I would imagine it hurts. I don't know. I'm not sure, but it looks like it hurt them. So you were just there empathizing. ¿Cómo se dice? Empatizando. Empathizating with them. Empatizando con los modelos. I wish he'd reserved them for a few models. It would have had impact without stealing the spotlight from the clothes. All in all, the collection had strong moments. It was haunting, it was clever, beautifully strange, but as usual with Margiela, the theatrics threatened to overshadow the fashion itself. Still, it's exciting to see Martins finding his rhythm in this next chapter for the house, for Maison Margiela. Now let's move on to Alaya. Pierre Moulier put one of the most distinctive shows of Paris Fashion Week. His Alaya keeps that perfect balance between organic and futuristic. Every detail was so sharp and so dramatic, and it even reminded me of the iconic slashed Lucio Fontana paintings brought to life. The vibe was electric. Raph Simmons, his best fashion friend, was there with the guests on the LED floor at the old Foundation Cartier building, soaking up the heat on that windy, rainy Paris morning. There was this low mirrored ceiling that reflected the monitors, showing close-ups of the models' faces as they walked, really putting the beauty front and center so you could see them from different angles as they walked. Moulier told editors that he wanted clothes that cry, so not overly dramatic, but a mirror of how he feels today. And I feel like the rainy Paris morning was just perfect. Like, the weather accompanied the collection, and you can see that in every detail. You can see the long fringes swinging from stay-up hoses under austere cotton tunics and jackets, jerseys that look like waterfalls over leather coats, and slanted scarf-like skirts, some heavy silk, some feathery and chaotic. Most pieces wrapped the body, but there was this simmering sexiness underneath. You can see some glimpses of bare thighs, flashes of backs or legs through like the open sides of the dresses and the garments in general, and the grand ball gowns that closed the show. Those were cut from Azzedine Alaya's original patterns, like balloons. So I feel like they were giving volume without feeling over the top, but yeah, for some people it may have been too over the top, but I feel like they were quite beautiful. Some pieces like the swaddling cocoons did feel a little like compression blankets, but the creativity was undeniable, so you can see the idea behind it. but at the same time, people online, they were like, yeah, you look like an egg. It doesn't make sense. They even called them the egg-like jumpsuits. Yeah, but I feel like it was still fun and conceptual. It's not meant to be everyday wear, but it's still exciting, and fringes definitely stole the show. They were delicate, they were flowing, and totally a season-long accessory. And the capes this year, oh my god, from Dior to Alaya, they were divine, they were next level. Overall, Mouillet's show was packed with thrills, blending experimentation with wearable elegance, and it reminded everyone why Alaya is still so magnetic. Now let's move on to Givenchy, and my favorite ambassador of Givenchy, Rooney Mara. Oh my god, she looked amazing. I loved her dress. Sarah Burton's second collection for Givenchy felt like a mix of softness and strength. It was that quiet kind of power that she does so well. She talked about wanting to peel back tailoring to make it lighter, softer, and more sensual, and you could really see that idea in the clothes. There were slim suits with just enough structure, mini suit dresses with raw edges, and sheer gowns that played between romance and control. One pale pink dress had a cape-like stash trailing behind it. It was like a modern Audrey Hepburn moment, which is of course a nod to Givenchy's muse. Another look, a heart-shaped leather moto jacket with exposed zippers, brought in a tougher edge. Even the more romantic pieces like the white tulle dress with a shell-like bralette or a netted cherry red gown carried this feeling of confidence and self-possession. It was all very refined and emotional, exactly what Sarah does best, but at the same time it didn't feel like Givenchy, like 100% in that sharp Parisian way. The DNA's still a little fuzzy, more Burton at Givenchy rather than Givenchy by Sarah Burton. Yeah, like the craftsmanship was undeniable. Every cut, every fabric choice, it felt intentional and it was incredibly beautiful, and you could definitely see the process behind it. But at the same time, yeah, the DNA was not like the Audrey Hepburn moment, of course, was present, but still, like, there are so many cool things that are innately Givenchy, and I feel like they were not 100% there. And that black and white coat is so stunning. I desperately need it. Yeah, Sarah Burton might still be finding her rhythm with the brand, but when she lands it, it's going to be even more beautiful. Now let's move on to Yves Saint Laurent. Anthony Vaccarella really loves playing with femininity, not in the obvious way, but in that Yves Saint Laurent kind of way where power and sensuality blur together. His Spring-Summer 2026 collection felt like watching different versions of the same woman, each one more intriguing than the last. The show took place at Trocadéro, the one and only place in Paris. Oh my god, I can't believe that I'm going to Paris next week. Oh my god, with the Eiffel Tower glowing in the background. It was so beautiful and so breathtaking. The setup was gorgeous, like the whole garden of white hydrangeas shaped like the YSL logo. It was so romantic, over the top, so dramatic, and very Vaccarello. The collection itself felt like 3 moods in one show. It started with these fierce Mapplethorne-inspired leather looks, sharp silhouettes, strong shoulders, as we see in YSL all the time, a hint of bondage energy even. Then came the softer side, trench coats and colorful parachute dresses, very rive gauche, very 60s, Yves Saint Laurent, easy, free, and very feminine. And finally, the big gowns. They were also very dramatic, very structured, and almost royal. I think we can use this word here in this context. It's like Marie Antoinette meets Madame X. But somehow still modern. Yeah, it was classic Vaccarello, bold, minimal, obsessive about shape and movement. Some people thought it got a bit repetitive, like the whole collection could have been just 10 looks, because some outfits, it's true that they were inspired by the previous outfit, but still the whole thing was insanely cinematic. Like you can tell every piece will photograph beautifully just because of the background and the place, Trocadéro and everything. And I love as you can see, I was inspired by YSL and the bow. And in their case, it was a little more structured. Mine is like flopping in the breeze. And yeah, I love the leather jacket and the structured shoulders. It's one of my favorite things in YSL. So I was really happy to see those midi skirts and like leather and that whole game, you know, YSL inspired game. Dior is officially in a new era. Jonathan Anderson is bringing his signature conceptual layered approach to one of fashion's most iconic maisons, mixing archival nods, modern accessories, and his own unique vision. And honestly, it's really exciting because the guy completely transformed Loewe from an old school heritage brand into one of the hottest names in fashion. By the way, check out my video about the rise and rise of Loewe. It's about how he did it and how talented Jonathan Anderson is. It's really wild how he managed to do it, because back in the day Loewe used to be this brand that solo las viejas tenían Loewe, pero ahora it's the coolest brand in fashion, thanks to Jonathan Anderson. Since the men's line debuted in June, Dior has been buzzing. People had all sorts of theories on how Jonathan Anderson was gonna transform, what he was gonna bring to the brand. And in men's collection, we saw a lot of oversized cargos, quirky tweed jackets, and those unforgettable Dracula totes. The women's show, I feel like it had the same energy. Anderson artistic, subversive sensibility was all over it. Crop tweed bar suits, denim mini skirts, bell-shaped jersey dresses, wispy lace, even tricorn hats. It felt like a push and pull, honoring Dior's past while teasing something totally unexpected and new, and I'm so excited to see it. But that said, the collection was a bit uneven. Some pieces were amazing on their own, but as a whole, the energy didn't quite hit. Like, evening wear had a few standout moments, but most of the day wear was a little underwhelming, especially after Loewe and what he did. But I feel like he's, of course, he's just learning the brand's DNA and he's getting started. So yeah, I feel like the best is yet to come. Yeah, he leaned on florals and ideas we've seen before. Honestly, it felt more like a presentation than a collection you'd actually want to buy, which left some people disappointed, especially compared to heavy hitters like Chanel this season. Yeah, I saw some comments that people said that it was underwhelming, but yeah, again, the best is yet to come. I'm very hopeful because Jonathan Anderson is a very talented designer, and you can see him trying to set Dior on this bold, long-term path. He's blending homage with his own voice, which is very difficult. While this particular collection didn't fully land for everyone, the vision is definitely there. So let's stay tuned. And finally, let's talk about Chanel. I will start by admitting that I am totally and completely 100% biased. Chanel is my favorite maison, is my favorite house, and I will love them forever. But this season, I can proudly say it, and I can finally say it. Chanel was incredible. And honestly, it's exactly what the brand needed. It was Matthew Blazy's debut show, and wow, he did not disappoint. After Karl Lagerfeld's death, Chanel kind of drifted in limbo. The collections were fine. They were very basic and very safe, and I still defended them because I love Chanel, because like, yeah, it was still Chanel, but this collection was night and day. Some of the past pieces had that, and I hate to say it, and I don't want to be mean, but some pieces from the past collections, they had that fast fashion with a logo vibe, you know, like it was pretty average. Yeah, it was leaning toward bad, as they say. So yeah, for years, Chanel felt stuck in that 2010s transition, unable to evolve while the rest of fashion moved on. Like you can see the evolution in different houses, but Chanel was just there, like drifting in limbo. So what Matthew did so well was modernize the house while staying true to its DNA. He brought back the essence of what made Coco revolutionary in the first place. Elegance with freedom and beauty with purpose. Chanel finally feels like Chanel again, but for today. It doesn't look as vintage as the previous collections. You could feel he wanted to break away from the predictable and bring something new, bold, and alive again. The collection was inspired by Gabrielle Chanel and her great love, Arthur Boy Capel. It's such a tragic story, and I actually would like to make a video about it. Please let me know down in the comments if you would be interested in that, and Chanel's life, and this drama in particular is gonna, we can't ignore an event like Arthur Boy Capel in her life. You can see the influence of Boy Capel everywhere in this collection. The way she used to borrow men's shirts and turn them into her own thing. Matthew brought that spirit back, clothes that free the body, free the female body. There were so many low waist, fluid draping, fringes, and gold beige tones mixed with that orange and red that felt like Coco herself in the 1920s. It was very rebellious, but at the same time still very elegant and alive. Even the setting was wild. It was at the Grand Palais, and it was transformed into a kind of cosmic world with planets floating all over the runway, which of course it's a nod to the universe of Chanel and how big it is. And as someone who loves The Weeknd, it also reminded me of his concert, but in this case I understand that was not the reference, but like the planets look so cool, and in general I feel like they always look cool. I love the space and the universe and everything. It tied into the show Invitation, which referenced 18th and 19th century optical boxes by Etienne Gaspard Robert. It's an early nod to cinema and illusion, so when you got the invitation, you could already feel that it was going to be something completely different that we haven't seen in a while. It felt like Chanel entering a new era, one that respects the past but isn't afraid to move forward, and that's exactly what the brand needed. Yeah, what I really loved was how wearable everything felt. The first look, the rolled up sleeves, the jacket, the trousers, it looked like something a woman could actually live in. Chanel hasn't felt like that in a very long time. It was a conversation between Matthew Blazy and Coco herself, and also a tribute to all the men who inspired her, as we mentioned, Boy Capel, and also the Duke of Westminster. Let's not forget him, and Coco's romance with him as well. And those masculine touches, they were reimagined through a woman's lens. So in this collection, it was definitely present. It reminded me that Chanel was never just about pretty clothes. It was about liberation and power, disguised as elegance. The technology behind this collection was another highlight. Let's not forget the leather denim at Bottega Veneta that Matthew Blazy created. He played with perception and made fashion fun again. Here he did it with the most important fabric of Chanel, tweed. So at first sight, you think, oh, what a beautiful tweed jacket. But then if you look closer, you realize that it's not tweed. It just looks like tweed from afar. Some look like classic bouclé, but up close they turned out to be like stretchy knits. They were breathable, wearable, and still luxurious. Like they still had that Chanel feel, but it was still modernized. And it's the kind of quiet technical innovation that makes you stop and appreciate the craft. And yeah, it just makes fashion fun again. The beige boots with the iconic black toes were a nod to Coco Chanel. I have a pair and I'll be wearing them proudly. One of my favorite details was the shirts made in collaborations with the same shirt maker, Charvet, who worked with Gabrielle Chanel herself on Place Vendôme. Oh my god, I'm gonna go there next week. I'm so happy. The shirts look so simple, but they're weighted with a classic Chanel chain inside, just like the hems of Chanel jackets. And it's such a subtle, genius touch because like you wouldn't see it on the runway, you could only see it on the close-up photos. But yeah, I feel like it's a genius touch, something you don't notice, but it makes the garment sit perfectly on you. Like the wind is not gonna ruin anything. The bags were such a highlight. The boy bag had its moment back in the 2010s, but Chanel really needed something fresh, and Blazy nailed it with bags too. There was no heavy quilting, no loud logos, just clean, confident design. And the new 255 look beautifully lived in, which by the way, I've noticed this even with Milan Fashion Week, the Peekaboo Fendi bag. It feels like the design, I don't know how to feel about this design, because the bag is literally open and it looks amazing on the runway, but then in real life it's so risky. You guys, attenzione pickpocket. Like I like the design, but I'm not sure that it's gonna be really practical in real life, especially in big cities. Unfortunately, it's not very safe to be walking with an open bag. But the minimalist flap felt very sleek and modern. The suede flap, oh my god, everyone's obsessed with suede, and I was looking forward to seeing suede in Chanel. It had that easy, soft, and relaxed vibe. The CC tote and supermodel tote were simple but chic, and I'm still thinking about that mint croc tote. It's really beautiful, and it reminds me, the color especially reminds me of the Birkin. And the CC Messenger might just be the new it bag. Oh my god, I want that bag so bad, but I'm not sure about the logo because it's so big. I feel like if the logo was smaller, it would be a lot more beautiful, but that's just my opinion. And of course, the two main dresses of the runway, the way they moved, oh my god, it was so beautiful, so fun, and absolutely stunning. And as someone who really appreciates the DNA of the brand, I have to say Mathieu Blasi made Chanel feel contemporary again without losing its soul. And it's so intelligent, it's so elegant and quietly disruptive. I watched the show on YouTube and I was like, finally, Chanel feels alive again. And that's it for today's video. If you haven't seen it yet, check out the Rise and Rise of Loewe on my channel, my video on iconic bags that changed fashion history, and of course the fall trends one. It's very recent, so go ahead and check it out. They're all up on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe for more fashion and fashion history content. Give this video a thumbs up and tell me what you thought of Paris Fashion Week. Which runway was your favorite? Your comments really help my channel grow. Of course, follow me on Instagram and TikTok, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!